Can your pet snakes actually love or have affection for you like your pet dog or cat would? Well, pretty much everything I'm going to say in this video is opinionated and not necessarily backed up by any hard facts. Just keep that in mind. But today we can go into my opinions on whether this is true or not. So I'm here with Joeeyy, my corn snake. I've had him for a few years, and he's perfectly fine with handling. Does he love me? Probably not. Does Sylvester, my cat, love me? I might have to say yes to that. Now, really, what's the difference between these two? Both of these animals have been around for a long time. So what would the differences actually be? Now, if you ask the general public, I'm pretty sure they'll all say that snakes hate you no matter what immediately. But when you're keeping them a lot, or keeping a lot of them, you might be thinking differently because there's lots of different things that they can do physically that give you the idea that they have some sort of affection towards you. Now, snakes have very primitive minds. They've been around for like 100 million something years, so they're not very new to the planet. Therefore, they're going to have some pretty primitive minds that go along with them. Most primitive animals are going to have two main goals in life, that being to eat and not get eaten. I guess that still goes for a lot of animals now, and I believe that includes snakes. Now, does that mean that they can't develop actual physical affections for people? I guess I can't say. That's like the golden question, I guess. But I don't think love or affection is the right word for these reptiles. The other question is, hopefully, I'm so all over the place right now. I'm just gonna keep recording as if I'm going perfectly fine as planned. Now, the other thing to mix in with this is where the lizards and turtles and other reptiles and amphibians actually fall, seeing as they have been around as long, some of which even longer than snakes like amphibians, and whether they're actually different from snakes. I think the main difference is when you're looking at different species of lizards, especially tegus and monitors, they seem to be much smarter, no offense, than snakes in general. It seems like things like tegus, for example, have much more expandable minds, I guess you could say. Like they can be trained to do certain things. They can recognize and correlate things together. Some can even follow very simple commands or sounds, and they really just have a more expandable memory as far as we can tell. Snakes, on the other hand, I mean, they don't have the biggest brains on earth, and they're kind of just doing their thing. And like I said, I feel like snakes have almost too simple of lifestyles, so love and affection aren't the right categories to put them in. Now, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that they like hate you or have no feelings towards you. Does your snake have feelings for you? That's kind of creepy. But I think of it more as contentness or satisfaction when it comes to a snake. So if you think about it, of course, they are cold-blooded or ectothermic, and they want to stay at the right temperatures, and their way of doing that is by finding warm places. Now, once snakes find these areas that are perfect for them, I think they're going to feel pretty content or satisfied because it lets them digest food the easiest, make sure they're not going to get dehydrated if it's too hot, and make sure they don't freeze themselves if it's too cold, and so on. So I think they can find the same contentness with you. For example, Joeeyy's pretty much in my lap now. My lap is going to be much warmer than some table across the room. So chances are he's going to feel more content on me than he is over on that random table. Snakes can also clearly correlate certain things as to whether they're good or bad. I think it's kind of binary or black and white with snakes. I don't know just how many feelings they can have in between. But for example, a grumpy snake, which a lot of people will call aggressive, is usually just defensive. When it's uncomfortable around something, for example, maybe people, they're going to avoid this thing. It's going to take some work until it gets used to it. But then once they are used to people, like for example, maybe your snake was on the more timid or scared side when you first got it, after work, it's going to eventually learn that these things that seem to all look alike and are warm and have these weird appendages, also known as people, seem to be pretty safe because they've been with them enough and they learned that they are not a hazard. Snakes tend to be naturally scared of anything that is bigger and moves because they might be a predator. And if there's a certain moving being that does not smell or look like a person, and then if your snake does recognize people and then they sense something or see something or smell something or taste something that is still bigger than them and does not remind them of a person or whatever they think a person is, then there's a chance that they're still going to be timid or scared around that thing. So basically what I'm getting at is I think the very first thing they can do is identify different things as a group. Can Joeeyy tell me from someone else in the house or some stranger that walks into the room? I don't know. I don't really want to answer that because I have no idea. But that sort of contentness or satisfaction or safety that they can feel around people as they learn it, I think can be translated in our human minds to something like love or affection, because usually you love something that brings you either physical warmth or mental warmth, or keeps you happy or satisfied or feeling safe, and that's pretty much the same as snakes. So are they going to have a personal connection with you? Maybe. It's kind of hard to say no seeing some of the videos on YouTube, but from a more biological standpoint, again, I am really just opinionated here. This is kind of just an educated guess. The answer is probably no. But of course, there's going to be a lot of opinions on this, so make sure you leave yours in the comments below. And again, it gets even more complicated because we have lizards and turtles and all these other animals. I mean, just look at Franklin. He is sort of the same way almost. And that's my turtle if you don't know, who I just did a video on. Does Franklin actually single me out as something that he feels safe around? Or will that happen with anyone? Maybe I should do a quiz with that. Just get random people to hang out with Franklin and see if he actually acts differently towards them. But I think that'll be for a different video. This is focusing on snakes. Even though, just before we go back to snakes, like I said, lizards, they can be even more complicated because they do have slightly more flexible brains and minds and can do more and learn more. So it's very complicated. But yeah, my summary here is, do snakes love you? Maybe not. But can snakes feel safe around you and feel what we would consider to be happy around you? I think so. It seems like it. But again, this is kind of philosophical and just ideas. So this should be more of a conversation video than just a video of me telling you something. So that's pretty much my opinion on it. I don't know how long this video ended up being. It might be really short, but that should be it for this video. Gobi is now in the chair. He abandoned me, so maybe he doesn't love me. But I'll be it for this video. So I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.